Okay, LaToya Edwards is here.
Hi.
Hi. She's a beautiful, amazing patient of ours. She is a lawyer. Badass.
Thank you.
Tell me, okay, you're a patient of Viva Eve's.
Yes.
You came here for fibroids.
Yes.
And take me back. Just tell us about how you were diagnosed, how you found us. Give us a little background.
When I was in my early 30s, I'm 41 now. I know. When I was in my early 30s.
She's lying.
I looked into egg freezing.
Okay.
I think like so many professional women in New York City who, are lucky enough, blessed enough to have the means. So many friends around me were looking at egg freezing. So I thought, great, now's the time. Let's do it. Because the advice was, if you could do it earlier than later, that would be best.
Yeah.
So I first went in to look at my options at another place when I was about 32. And at that time, they told me, hey, just so you know, it looks like you have a couple fibroids. It's very common in Black women. Yeah. So just keep an eye on it. And I said, okay. So I knew then that I had a couple. And I started poking around, researching just to understand what might be out there.
Okay.
And I had heard about UFE and I had heard about myomectomy, but I didn't really do anything about it at that time.
Were you in pain? Like, did it feel kind of like asymptomatic at that point, or were you just kind of experiencing normal period pain and stuff like that?
Looking back, I was not asymptomatic. At the time, I thought I was, right?
Normal.
I was like, I'm bloated. I'm in my early 30s. I should probably work out more. It was actually crazy the things I was doing to address bloating. I was taking digestive enzymes. I was taking probiotics.
Yeah.
And I was doing all of the crazy weight loss things. I mean, at that time, now there's GLP-1s. Who knows
Right.
I would have ended up doing. To address this issue that I now know had to do with my fibroids, but I didn't realize.
Yeah. So you're doing a little research.
Yeah.
You're looking back, you're like, okay, this is probably impacting your life. And then were you able to treat the fibroids before the egg freezing, or what was your order of operations there with all this?
Even though I had looked into egg freezing, even though I knew I had fibroids, shortly after that, unfortunately, my mother started getting very sick. And at that point, all attention turned towards family. Okay. I never followed up on the egg freezing. I never followed up on the fibroids. Unfortunately, I lost my mom pretty quickly. So if I first looked at it at 32, I lost my mom at 33. And then the years that follow were chaos. My grandmother got sick shortly after that. She passed away. My father was diagnosed with cancer shortly after that. He passed away. And so I spent a lot of years really focused on caregiving and shepherding my family through the loss of my mother, taking care of my grandmother, getting her into assisted living, flying down for hospital visits, taking care of my dad.
Full-time job.
Yeah, it was. All while still being an attorney here in New York City and flying back and forth. And so needless to say, doctor's appointments were at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, no way.
I just wasn't focused on it at all. Somewhere in there, actually before my father passed away, I did sneak in getting the egg freezing done, but beyond and that was the only doctor's appointments I had at the time because I was worried, years were passing. Yeah. And so maybe I got egg freezing done maybe around 35, 36.
Okay. How did you take to that? Was it, I've done it. I've done IVF. I've frozen embryos, not eggs. But I've had friends go through it where it's been really harrowing. Other friends are kind of a problem, not a huge deal. What was that experience like for you?
I think I'm very lucky in that my experience was positive compared to a lot of my friends who had been through it. So I'm very grateful for that. Knock on wood, at least that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But because it went easily, any other health issues, I didn't follow up on. The fibroids, I didn't follow up on. Okay. And it was shortly after that my father was diagnosed. So it was really back to the races at that point.
Got it. So first of all, sorry for all of that. That's a huge amount of loss in a very condensed amount of time.
Yeah.
And you were carrying that alone? Did you have siblings?
I have two wonderful brothers. Okay. They're great. Okay. But as so many women experience, right? I'm the only girl. I'm the eldest.
Okay.
And so don't get me wrong, much love to my brothers. They are there. But I mean, in terms of the person who is making the phone calls and visiting the hospitals and visiting the assisted living facilities and flying down and ordering the wheelchairs, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I took care of all of that in between meetings and work. And I mean, great brothers, great cousins, aunts. I don't mean to make light of all of my family members and friends who were supportive, but
it's a lot.
I was quarterbacking. And so that sort of thing, not to mention like the grief of it really consumes you. And so I just wasn't really focused on much else. I mean, truly, even the fact that I managed to sneak egg freezing in there, that's what it felt like. I was like, oh, sneak this in and then put off everything else.
Like it's just an errand for yourself. Yeah. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So good on you for sticking to it. So what was, when it all came to be and you were ready to kind of take care of the fibroids, what was that moment like for you? Like, was there an inciting incident where it got really bad from a symptomatic standpoint, or was it, kind of a recall and a recentering and centering yourself again after all of this?
It was really about the recentering. So my father died of colon cancer. And so which for anyone with like dads, partners, grandparents out there listening, like, first of all, everyone should go for colon screenings, but absolutely,
there's a huge uptick right now.
Right, there's a huge uptick, and if you can catch these things early, it can be life-saving. And with my dad, they didn't catch it early, and so after my father passed away, and I, took a year to reset. I was focused. I thought, like, I really need to get my health in order. I need to get my house in order. And so high on that list for me was checking out those fibroids that had laid dormant for all these years. And at this point, I was 39. And what was initially, I think they told me I had 2 small fibroids, had become 6 identifiable ones. One that was so large, it was piercing my uterus wall, which is obviously really scary to hear and highly problematic. So letting all that time pass.
Did you feel any of that? Like, did it look or like kind of simulate bloating, or was there pressure?
What really scared me was, and what really made it feel urgent to me, is that I felt like I could tell slight swelling on the left side of my body versus right, like in terms of the bloating. And I thought, that's not a good sign. That is not just like, oh, I've gained some weight.
You're like lopsided at this point.
Right. I'm like, there's a problem. And so at that point, I got very serious about researching and figuring out my options.
So how'd you find Viva Eve? How did you decide on that this was the path and this was the place?
Honestly, Google searching, and the name had popped up back when I had first looked into it, earlier in my 30s. Wow. When I was looking at what the different procedures were. And so Viva Eve had all this information about UFE, and so that's how I learned what embolization was, and I read the materials then. So the name stuck in my mind. So when I circled back around to research it, Viva Eve popped up, and like, maybe some people would call it vanity. I don't think so, but I appreciated that it felt like an aesthetic place, honestly. It didn't feel cold and scary and medical. It felt very patient care focused. And after having spent more than enough time at that point in cold, sterile hospitals with my family, I was really happy to find somewhere that felt softer and caring. And I mean, if I'm going to go through this experience, it might as well feel like a med spa. So
yeah, I mean, that was kind of the design, especially Madison, this office in particular. It was meant to help with anxiety, and basically, like, nobody really wants to go to an OBGYN or a fibroid appointment. That's not where I want to be, on a beach somewhere all the time. I don't want to go to a doctor's office. So when you have to go, as comfortable as it could be is the intention, right? And so thank you for acknowledging that. That's great feedback.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that it helps. That's great.
It made a difference.
So you decide to, because a UFE, I had never heard of it before coming to work for Viva Eve. The alternate is sometimes a hysterectomy. Obviously, you can't bear children, if you have a hysterectomy, was that a big part of your decision making? Because you had frozen eggs, and so were you looking at the long game here, or were you just like, I just don't want to deal with surgery?
Oh, I was terrified of the situation advancing to a point where I would need a hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, having understood a little bit about embolization before, I was just really focused on, okay, what can I do to address this issue now so that I don't later on end up needing a full hysterectomy?
Okay.
Because I do want to have kids. And so that, and even if you don't want to have kids, right? Because that's often the conversations. Do you want kids? Do you not want kids? But, I didn't want early menopause. Like, kids aside from that, whatever the future holds for me is, I didn't want that. I didn't want to have to cross that bridge earlier than nature would have intended. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll all get there and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But still,
we're going to be fine.
So that's what I was. I mean, obviously, if you can avoid a hysterectomy, that would be ideal.
Great. Okay, so you come into Viva Eve. You first met with a nurse practitioner who is also, we have a few of them who are our fibroid navigators. Mm-hmm. Those are the providers that kind of intake a fibroid patient, talk about treatment plans, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Your treatment plan, I know, ended up being a UFE, mm-hmm. a myomectomy, mm-hmm. and post-op dermatology care for potential scarring from the surgery, because you were not about that.
Yes, because I'm very vain.
Yes, that's okay. No, that's not vain. That's okay. We just take care of ourselves inside and out.
Yes.
That's right. So when that treatment plan was coming together, I mean, that's a lot. But what was your approach to it? Did you feel like you felt like, wow, we're really going top to bottom here. This is great. How did you prep yourself to start the journey and go into that UFE first?
Research. First of all, I felt very educated by the team. I loved that there was that little touch screen that was like, here's your uterus and here's where everything is. So that helped a lot. But I was overwhelmed when 2 procedures were recommended. Yeah. And so I immediately started talking to people. And what's crazy is that once you open up and you talk about what you're experiencing with your health, with women, especially with fibroids, because they're so common. Yeah. I just kept meeting people who said, oh, I experienced that, or my friend experienced that, or my coworker experienced that. So it wasn't hard at all to get connected to people who had been through at least one of the 2 procedures. And then, I'm a researcher by nature, so I don't want to say skeptical, but nervous about the idea of having 2 procedures versus 1.
Was it, forgive me for interrupting, was it because sometimes a myomectomy is necessary when fibroids are really big? Mm-hmm. That like the UFE will shrink them.
Yes.
A myomectomy will help just take that remainder out. Was that sort of the plan, like we were just prepping for that with you in your case, or was it something else?
Exactly. Because it was largely because of the main reason is because of the one large one that I had. And the idea is that if we could shrink it down, then the myomectomy surgery itself would be lower risk, safer.
Just pluck it out.
Hopefully less invasive versus, I mean, quite frankly, had I gone in for care earlier when I was first told I have fibroids, when I was told to keep an eye on it, if I hadn't let all those years go by, who knows if maybe an embolization alone would have been enough.
Right.
But just given the time and the size, definitely knew I needed a myomectomy to get it out of there.
Got it.
And then the embolization was to make it safer and to make sure they wouldn't come back, right? If you cut off that blood flow from the source, then there's a lower chance of it returning. Yeah. And I definitely, it's been very fun hanging out with Viva Eve, but would like to minimize my chances.
Yes.
So.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Again. Less is more.
Yes.
Less is more. And then you wrapped up with some skin treatments with the derm team. You did microneedling.
Yes, laser. I did microneedling. I did laser.
Topicals. Great.
Exactly. And I met with them. What was really nice is that because it's all in one house, I was able to meet with the derm team before I even had my surgery to talk through what are we going to do? What is the treatment going to be like? Great. And then they followed me through my recovery. Great. So whenever I came in for my post-surgery appointments, the derm team was already there seeing how things were healing so that the second I was healed enough to start treatment, I could. And
Game on.
Yeah. And that prevents the scar from, being worse than it needs to be.
Yeah. And, I think we talk about integrated care a lot. It can mean, it could be a completely meaningless term to a lot of people, but like your story is so poignant and so perfectly defines what we're going for here, right? Like you can get diagnosed at an appointment, you can get a treatment plan, non-surgical, surgical, and then you can get this follow-up care that normally there's lots of referrals in this process and you're bouncing around and paperwork at every visit and getting lost and staying on the train. I mean, I almost missed the train stop today, but it's just, it's a lot. And so I think I'm so grateful that you're sharing your story because you are truly like it's like a beautiful little gift to be able to have a patient that had so many touch points with all of our different team members. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that you shared your story with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, absolutely. Sometimes I feel cheesy talking to people about my experience. Like I swear, like I'm not trying to walk around being a walking ad, but I feel very grateful. It's part of why I was happy to come and be a part of this.
Your time is precious, so thank you.
It's been such a game changer for me, and everything felt easy. I felt super educated the whole time. Good. I felt very cared for. Good. It's been great.
Amazing. Thank you. LaToya Edwards, ladies and ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
you.
We'll see you soon.